A nationwide U.S. network of dozens of far-right, men-only fraternal clubs has what members describe as literally hundreds of participants who include past and currently serving military personnel, lawyers, civil servants, and prominent anti-Semitic influencers, a Guardian investigation can reveal. I want to remind you all that all of this pro-Zionist bullshit that is being forced upon us is what's causing an uptick in actual anti Semitism. Zionism hurts the Jewish community more than it does anything else. Because most people who are having a growing disdain for Zionism do not know that Zionists do not have to be Jewish, and you can be Jewish and not be a Zionist. But let's continue. The Old Glory Club, OGC, which has at least 26 chapters in 20 U.S. states and until now has drawn little attention, exemplifies the alarming rise of organized racist political groups in the past few years, but especially during the rise of Donald Trump and his return to the White House. The OGC network has held conferences, meetups, and other events. Key members like podcaster Pete Kionis use their platforms to push far-right ideas about Jewish people and immigrants. Other members have used their platforms to respond to political events and to advocate measures including cancellation insurance for members whose extreme political views might impede their professional lives. Harry Shukman, a researcher at UK anti-fascist nonprofit Hope Not Hate, who last month published an expose on the OGC affiliated Basket Weavers organization in the UK, told The Guardian. Groups such as the OGC are a new breed of extremist organization which aims first to build an online social network before taking over society. He added, they seek to lower the bar to participating in far right and by doing so have proved attractive to a cohort of mostly male members, some of whom have never before undertaken any form of activism. Heidi Beirich, co-founder and chief strategy officer of the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism, said the OGC appears to be another major new network of racists, too many of which are springing up in the era of Trump. She said the group was pushing violent ideologies including race hate and anti-Semitism and has links to prominent figures on the far right. The OGC was incorporated on June 16, 2023, according to Virginia Company records, but the organization took shape over more than a year through in-person conferences and online networks. The Old Glory Club Substack began publishing in October 2022 with an X account launching the same month. Podcast aggregators show Old Glory Club podcast content appearing online by November 2022 at the latest. At that time, however, the organization appeared to be conceived as mostly a collaborative effort at content production. In a November 2022 podcast, the pseudonymous YouTuber and central OGC figure known as Charlemagne told far-right podcaster Aaron McIntyre, now an online personality at Glenn Beck-founded Blaze Media, that OGC was a group of American gentlemen who have decided to organize a social club to publish content and try and figure out a new political settlement for Americans. Keep in mind, the Triple K originally classified itself as a social club. We'll continue with this more in part 2, that'll be linked in the comments. Part 2. Also in October 2022, another pseudonymous YouTuber, The Prudentialist, appealed for donations to OGC in a podcast, saying that the money will one day be used for mutual aid for our friends that get doxxed or fired or affected by natural disasters and other acts of God. I thought people on the far right, were against socialism and mutual aid, handouts. But they seem to be the ones asking for them the most. And if you have to take preventative steps like that, you know you're standing on the wrong side of history. You just don't care. Let's continue. By April 2023, The Prudentialist was presenting OGC and podcast as part of an effort by the far right to create networks of patronage and political support in order to maintain not just some semblance of power, but anti-fragility against a state that wants you broke, dead, or transitioned. Who said that? He added that OGC would offer opportunities for members to meet, host, conferences and to support people in the future who, like the firefighter in Virginia, was fired for simply donating to Kyle Rittenhouse's legal defense fund, an apparent reference to the fallout from the 2021 Guardian reporting on donors to Rittenhouse's legal defense whose identities were revealed in leaked data from a Christian crowdfunding site. I thought the far right was all about Christianity. Guess not. Other key members advocated a strategy of decentralization for the far right to create enduring activist institutions. In a July 10, 2022 Republican of his speech that year's right-wing Tennessee Skydlinks Conference, charter member and frequent OGC spokesperson Ryan Turnipseed lamented the fact that Spain's authoritarian fascist director, Francisco Franco, a touchstone for the contemporary far right, had failed to secure his line of succession despite propaganda and purges. This is a lesson we need to learn, he added. Oh, so they are willing to learn. The most egregious shit ever. He proposed a decentralized network of groups which would allow us to draw upon the knowledge and abilities of these groups. We no longer have to wait on Caesar or Franco to unite the right in some effective fighting force. Instead, we can be effective with what we have now. Stupidity, lies, bullshit, hate, lack of the ability to put all of this energy and effort into gaining what you believe that you're entitled to? Okay. Others stress the importance of in-person meetups and directly reference similar initiatives overseas. According to a July 2022 Substack post by the pseudonymous Red Hawk, inviting applications for local chapters must consist of at least 5 American men over the age of 18 and meet quarterly and annual reporting requirements on membership and finances. Local chapters and the organization as a whole are overseen by an OGC Central Committee, according to the Post in subsequent podcasts. Sounds like what they couldn't get from the rest of the world because they're not qualified, they're going to get from this organization. All the titles and the money that they want. But we're not done. We'll continue in part 3 that, as always, will be linked in the comments. Part 3. The organization's core members have orchestrated 4 annual conferences, with the last 2 happening under the OGC banner. According to speakers on a recorded after-action report on the most recent OGC in-person conference held in May, OGC membership has burgeoned in the last year. They claim that OGC now has literally hundreds of members, and we're too large at this point that we've passed the point where the Central Committee is going to be able to know all or even most of the individual members. Altogether, we've built a very, very effective organization. Altogether, they sound like a bunch of mini Trumps. But let's continue. It is not yet clear how the names and company records for the umbrella organization and its chapters correspond with all the online aliases of key members. But those records do reveal that members include prominent far-right influencers, current and former U.S. military members, and police officers, court officers, and contractors with U.S. government security clearances. So it's just another iteration of the Triple K with a new name. That's nothing new. But isn't it funny that they're so proud of their ideologies that they do everything to hide their identities? The Guardian has contacted all named members for comment. Turnipseed is a charter member of the OGC umbrella organization, a frequent contributor at its Substack, a frequent podcaster, and has spoken at OGC and Skildling conferences. Previously, Turnipseed was excommunicated in May 2024 by First Lutheran Church in the native Ponca City, Oklahoma, after a viral 2023 Twitter thread criticizing the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod's new catechism for accommodating progressive political positions, briefly making him a cause célèbre for the online far right. So he's mad that the churches are finally accepting the true doctrine of their chosen In February 2023, Turnipseed had been identified by anti-fascist researchers as a member of what they called a rising white supremacist faction within the Lutheran faith. Later that month, the president of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod called for the excommunication of those propagating radical and unchristian alt-right views. Well, not long after his excommunication, Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Wichita, Kansas, defied the ban by accepting Turnipseed into membership. They probably think that Jesus looks like Kenny Loggins. Other OGC chapter members have connections with the wider world of right-wing politics. Matthew Pearson of Tampa Bay, Florida, is listed in the initial filings of the Yellow Dog Pack, a Florida OGC chapter. Pearson is a writer of 2 Christian nationalist publications. I know. American Reformer and Truth Script, where he has praised a book that says Christians should be anti-gay and commended the social theories of the Nazi jurist Carl Schmitt.